Hello, world. Frida Reba Darcy and Patricia. No, you can have it all. What the hell? And Patricia O'Connor here today on the Bonsai balcony. I'm not a tease. Today on the Bonsai balcony, we're going to talk about. Well, first of all, it's a beautiful day in Alameda. Look at that sky. Everybody looks so green. Everybody does. Just everybody looks so green. And I'm just, it's a little cool though. Unseasonably cool. There's that word again. But I'm enjoying it. Sounds like a bunch of people are over at the pool. They're enjoying it. So what is not to love? What is not to love about today? Today's show is about feeding. When I first got into bonsai, I was concerned about fertilizing bonsai trees because I watched the effects of fertilization on other trees, on other plants, and on plants in the garden, in the vegetable garden or something. Whenever we're growing for yield, I learned how to grow for maximum yield. Whenever I was growing that shade tree, which a magnolia in the front yard, we always went with maximum yield. You know, when it comes to bonsai, that's not necessarily. And I was worried. That what if I over fertilize this thing and it grows 3 feet tall from here to here, you know, and loses its really good looking proportions and stuff. And also, as I began to develop an eye, I began to look at some trees that I had liked early on and go, I am not as crazy about the way. I'm like, for instance, I think this trident maple stretched out. Did it do that on my watch, or did I not know? You know, and there's probably wasn't really anything truly wrong with it. Other people would have loved it just the way it was. I didn't. I thought that this was disproportionately long before this part happened. And the answer to that is we're air layering it. And I was like, did I do that? And no, I didn't know to look for that, or I didn't know to watch out. And I say look for that like there's something wrong. There's not. It bothers me. It wouldn't have bothered everybody. But didn't do that by feeding necessarily. But the answer to that is also something like this. I'm not getting paid by these guys. I have to shell out for it like everybody else. But this is a low dose fertilizer. It's an organic fertilizer. When it comes to fertilizers, there's organic and then there's synthetic. And some people are afraid of synthetics because they can burn, or you can get a decimal place wrong and mess up your ingredients, and that's like pouring gasoline on a plant. But when it comes to organic, the theory is that you can't do that. Heck, you can. You can absolutely burn something with strong organic fertilizers too. So, but to that end, this is the key ingredients here on this are the elements that we're looking for in most fertilizers, and you'll see the numbers on the front of fertilizer bags a lot of time, and they'll tell you what those are, and you know that if you want less nitrogen or something, that you go with a lower number, or if you want more potassium, you go with a higher. The numbers on this are 555, all single digits. So feeding this a dose is probably not going to cause you major issues. And my method is for most of my trees, for most of the year, they get fed year round, more so than you may. I have very, very mild winters. I see my trees heave up out of the ground in the winter when there's even no leaves on them. So I know that the roots and stuff are growing, and I know that maybe they go in and out of dormancy here because our temperatures are in and out of, warm and cold and stuff. So I just tend to feed them year round unless there's a specific reason to not feed them during a certain time of the season. For instance, if I'm decanneling my Japanese black pines, they will have already had their fertilizer picked up, and it will stay picked up until fall, just about fall. But then I feed them in the winter, whereas a lot of people would pick up that fertilizer. But I still see root growth. I still see my black pines are still doing quite a bit of growing in our in our winter months. Now that's probably just more of an indication of where I live. But otherwise, and whenever I say feeding, you can see I've got 3 lumps. That's about as big as my hand. I've got 3 lumps. Another area about as big as my hand, 3 lumps. And I did that all around the tree. So that's about 2 hands. That's about 6 lumps worth. These guys get 1 or 2. These guys get 1 or 2. These guys are, get 3 because there's 2 trees. These guys, it may not work that way. These guys, and that's just how I do it. It's not rocket science. And this is also low dose all the time, as opposed to doing a heavy dose 3 times a year. That's just my method. And what this does is this means I have to use less pesticides. I have to use less systemic treatments, but I do that. I do my systemic treatments twice a year, and we'll be coming up on that in July. But if you do that, then your trees should stay strong and healthy and have all the elements and nutrients. And also this promotes the mycorrhizal effect underneath the roots. This activates a mycorrhizal relationship with the tree and the spores. So that's really good. I've always seen that whenever I break down my pines after I started using BioGold, that I started seeing a whole lot more mycorrhiza in the pots, and I like that. I like that. Okay, there's our camera smack. So it's really pretty easy, and you don't have to worry too much about your trees stretching. And this is an organic fertilizer, so if you're like me, if that matters, then to that. And I've already put some out on most of the trees. In fact, I'd already started this video, but I had an allergy attack. So it's just like, okay, we'll take 2, pay Frida again, and then act like this. But look how much I got done. And what I do, I just go through and put through our little hand dose. I've heard it described as accelerator and brake, and putting down fertilizer is like giving the tree gas, and picking up the fertilizer and stopping that is like putting on the brakes. And certain times of year, there might be times when that's important, but when it comes to a lot of our guys here, for reasons that I've already mentioned, plus a lot of our trees are in development. So, and that's and I was also, some of the first videos I saw about wisteria bonsai, I was concerned that my wisterias wouldn't bloom if because I had heard that would be, I saw videos out there, why won't my wisterias bloom? Before I even knew whether or not they would bloom or not, I was discovering that was sometimes an issue. And overfeeding certain elements was laid to be the cause. You won't get into that with these. This won't cause your wisterias to not bloom. Okay, that is our little quick tutorial. I mean, there is so much to learn about feeding and feeding bonsai, but basically my crash course on it, for those who are nervous about it, is that this is a organic method I used. You can use it to get started, and then if you want to learn about, delve into the needs of specific trees more deeply and mix cocktails to your heart's content, that's there. There's always going to be an interest in that, I suppose. But otherwise, this is something that won't cause problems for your trees, and will feed them and will head off problems for your trees. And that's just how you can start doing right by your bonsai, and not really know a whole lot more than that, I suppose. Like and subscribe if you guys have not already. Our next drop will be mañana, and I appreciate you, and Frida appreciates you, and thank you all so much for watching. Golly, how nice. Boom.